Hi everyone, happy Thursday. I hope you all are having a great day. Welcome to Hooping 101, where I'm going to show you how to hoop multiple items. We might have a little bit of a friend joining us today. He is kind of demanding to sit in my lap, so I am sorry about that. If he pops up, I'll try and keep him out of the frame. But I'm going to get started here in just a few minutes, so just kind of wait here, let some people join, and then we will get started. Thanks. Wiley. Hey, what are you doing? Okay, hey, hi all. Okay, so welcome. Sorry, my dog is really wanting to join tonight, so I apologize. He's kind of being a little needy if he hops up in my lap. Sorry, all. Okay, so welcome to Hooping 101. Happy Thursday. I am only going to show you guys how I hoop different things tonight. I'm not actually going to embroider anything. So I'm also going to kind of cheat and not put the stabilizer with this. That way I can just show you guys really quickly from one item to a next. I've got about 5 or 6 items here tonight to show you how to hoop them. I've already posted videos on bibs. I've posted videos on t-shirts, pillowcases, onesies, so you guys already have quite a bit of videos, but I wanted to show you just a few more here tonight. The first one I'm going to start off with is just a canvas makeup bag. This makeup bag is large, so you guys can kind of see my hand is about 7 inches, so you guys can see this is a very large makeup bag, and I always turn bags inside out. That's kind of the first step, is just to turn them inside out. I went ahead and hooped it, and the way I would do this is hoop it and then stretch it to where you have as much visible space as possible, and just tape it out of the way and make sure that nothing is underneath it. Since it's canvas, I'd probably just use a layer of tearaway, maybe 2, and call it good. Nothing on top is needed. So pretty easy. I would just tape it in a couple spots, and there is that one. Hi, Andrea. If there's something specific that you guys are wanting to see tonight, let me know. But I'm showing you a makeup bag. I've got a dish towel. I've got linen napkins. I have an actual towel, a tote bag. Might play around with a hat. That one just takes a lot of patience. So if there's anything I'm missing, let me know. But like I said, I've already got pillowcases, onesies, t-shirts, and bibs in the different videos, so I'm going to let you guys kind of dig back through those, and I'm not really going to re-hoop those. Hi Sherry, welcome, and you're very welcome. So first thing, makeup bag, really easy, just turn it inside out. This is the same rule for every bag you're going to do. You're going to turn it inside out, that way you don't have to worry about the bottom part catching on, so it's pretty easy. This is a big one. It happened to work where the opening works. If it doesn't, then it's just kind of one of those things that I use my Cricut on, because sometimes it's easier just to not embroider. So that's a makeup bag. Next up, we've got a dish towel. As you guys can see, the dish towel, I already have my seam in there for my halfway. If you get something like this and you don't have a seam, all you have to do is fold it in half and press it with an iron or an actual heat press. That's what I use. You guys can kind of see it behind me. There's my heat press. So that's how I find the center of things. And this one, since it is so large, I'd use my repositional hoop. Remember, if you wear it, don't tear it. So this one, you can use some tearaway, but with how this is so stretchy and so thin, I would probably just use 2 layers of cutaway on this, especially since I buy the thin cutaway. So nothing crazy here. Repositional hoop, whichever side you want it, pop it down, and then pop the hoop. The dish towels are really easy, but again, the more fabric, or the more stretchy your fabric is, or lightly woven your fabric is, the more stabilizer you're going to need. So always check that thread chart if you're unsure. I tend to over stabilize. It's not cheap, but it just makes it to where things don't stretch. So that's how I would hoop this one. Really, really easy. If you guys have questions while I'm doing this, if you need me to slow down, please tell me to stop. Again, this is going to be kind of short and sweet. I'm just walking you through how to hoop everything. I'm not going to embroider anything tonight, because once you get this all in place, then you guys already know how to put the embroidery in your machine and just kind of hit go. The main thing is sometimes hooping can just be a little bit tricky. And you guys are very welcome. I am happy to help however need be. Okay, here is linen napkins, cocktail napkins. I love these things. I do these for wedding gifts in sets of 6 or 8, and then I always keep these in my bar cart just ready to go. I just kind of think I like it a little bit better than a paper napkin. So you guys can see this does not fit in here. It is way too small. So what I do not float per se, but I put a layer of stabilizer down, and let me see if I can find some pre-cut. We'll just use this piece of paper here as my stabilizer example. So stabilizer, then the cocktail napkin, and this is my favorite tool to hoop anything. If you guys don't know how to hoop or it's not quite big enough, masking tape, painter's tape is the best thing you can use because it doesn't leave a sticky residue. So I will put just a couple pieces of this on here. Sometimes you got to do it in modes of 6 in all the corners, and you basically just pull it until you have a tight hoop. Remember, the hoop needs something to grab onto, so if it's not big enough, make it big enough, either by putting a bigger piece of stabilizer behind it or some tape or something for that hoop to grab onto. So here you go. This is not centered, but you guys can just kind of see the premise of I put this on here and I pull it as I'm hooping to get it tight. And I think I did a video about a month or so ago on how to use tape for things that are too small. So if you need to refer back to that, please do. But as long as it is straight, it doesn't really have to be centered. You can always center things on your machine. One of the tricks, I will go ahead and show you guys when hooping, if this will work. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to pull up my design real quick. See if I have a small one that I can use. Okay, I'm just going to use this umbrella as an example. So I hit set, I hit end edit. This is a trace button. So if you put this on here, whenever your hoop is there and you hit this, your machine is going to show you exactly where it is going to stitch that design out in the hoop. So you know where it is placed at. That way you know how to center. It's a great little trick. I use it all the time because I am not the best at getting things centered in my hoop, or you know, maybe it's a little crooked, or sometimes I put my onesies a little too low, so I always trace it before I even stitch to see where it's at. Okay, so you've got the cocktail napkin, I've shown you guys the dish towel, I've shown you the big makeup bag that someone was asking about a couple days ago. Now I'm going to show you a shirt pocket or sleeve that someone was just asking about. I stole a shirt from my husband's closet, so it's a good thing I'm not actually embroidering, but they said that the hoop would not fit in the sleeve, and I can tell you that it's not going to. If you do not want to rip out the stitches, you can get this little hoop. This is a monogram hoop. A lot of people use it to make socks or monogram on socks, sometimes just on the tips of shoes. I haven't actually used it, so I don't know what the setting is in PE Design 10. I've just never had a need for something this small, or if it is this small, I tend to, like I said, use my Cricut just because that's my personal preference. But they have these little hoops that you can get if you got a set of 3 repositional hoops from Amazon that came with the 4x4 and then the repositional hoop. It probably also came with this. So you've got this small little guy and you can put it in here however you need to get it centered. Remember guys, I'm not going to take the time to center this. I really just want to show you some hooping techniques. So if it's not perfect, don't judge me. I'm just kind of throwing this on here. But this is the hoop that I would use for shirt sleeves because you can still flip the shirt sleeve inside out, tape it out of the way. This is probably all the size you're going to need on a hoop or on a sleeve. It's about 3 inches by 2 inches. So it's not huge, but it's not the smallest thing in the world. Then you can tape it out of the way and it does snap right in your machine, and that way you don't have to mess with kind of figuring it out in the hoop and figuring out how to do the sleeve. So this would be my recommendation if you're going to be doing sleeves. would probably even be really good. I've got a baby vest that I need to do here in a couple days, and I think I'm going to try it to do a little monogram in a baby vest. Just feel like this is probably a little bit easier to center and keep control of than kind of those bigger hoops for that instance. So let me put my husband's shirt away before he comes home and figures out that I stole it. Last time I put it on the dog, so hopefully the dog doesn't steal it this time. Okay, I had a request for a towel. There's two ways you can do towels. This one is going to take a little bit longer than the last one, so bear with me. Towels always need at least one layer of water-soluble stabilizer on top. Depending on the fluffiness of the towel, the more layers you're going to need of water-soluble. Also, I always recommend cutaway on towels. They just tend to need denser designs. So, the denser designs, definitely want to use cutaway on. This is one of our nasty towels I just grabbed, so it might not work as far as prettiness, but it definitely works as far as hoop. Okay, so there's two ways to do this. You can do this here, where you put your design on the band of the towel. Some people will do names there. I always keep the band for decoration, and I do above the band. Personal preference, whatever you want. Some people will embroider on the band, but please keep in mind that these are different textures and different thicknesses, so your stitches are going to look different from here to here. So you either need to go above or below in my opinion. I'm going to go above and hoop this. I always open my hoop to be the biggest it possibly can. Again, couple layers of cutaway on bottom, couple layers of water soluble on top, and you should, well, if you tighten your hoop, you should be good. There are some towels that are super, super thick and you cannot necessarily hoop them, or they're not easy to hoop. I still say try your absolute hardest to hoop them. I personally hate floating things, which I've talked about before, and I'm happy to explain how to technically float something, but I always recommend hooping it. Hoop on a hard surface. It's going to help you get that tighter tautness. It's also going to make it easier to actually snap in the hoop. You guys can see though, this is not a thin towel, and I was able to hoop it no problem. Yes, I don't have my stabilizer in here, but I always use that thin stabilizer, so even 2 layers would not add too much thickness in it, and it was able to pop right in. But if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. However, like I said, hard surface makes hooping 100 times easier. The softer the surface, if you do it on carpet or uneven surface, it's really not going to be easy to do, and it's going to hurt your wrists, it's going to hurt your hands. I know the more I embroider, if I embroider all day long and I'm doing a lot of projects, by the end of the day my wrists really hurt from snapping it in that hoop. The other way to do this, the floating way. Okay, floating is where you hoop your stabilizer, and again we're going to use this piece of paper as my example of a stabilizer, and then you pin or tape your object to your stabilizer. Number one reason I don't like this is most people will say to use spray on this, and I know I've talked about this before, but if you spray your stabilizer, first off, it needs to either be outside or contained in a box. It needs to not be in the same room as your machine, and it needs to not even be close to your machine. Second off, I really don't like it because it actually makes your needle very sticky, gums up the needle, can cause thread breakage, just a lot more frustration. But to float, if you choose to float, you can sticky stabilizer it. I think you can buy stuff with a sticky back. You can also spray it. You can do what I do. If I absolutely have to float, which is my last resort, I use sewing pins. So let me find an example of those real quick. Okay, just traditional straight pins, sewing pins, nothing crazy. I bend mine just a little bit if I'm going to use it to hoop. And then you just put whatever object you're doing this on over the stabilizer and pin all the way around the outside edges. This is also what you're going to do if you do hats. So that way, which guys, again, I'm not doing this properly, so sorry, it's not really tight, but it's through the stabilizer and the towel is in the hoop. Do you see how that works? If I would have this tight. So sewing pin all the way around the edge, as tight as you can make it, and that's how you float. Just be careful, and like I said, bending them makes them a little bit better. Any questions on towels before I move on to tote bags? Guys, I know this is fast and furious, and I'm sorry, but once you kind of get the hang of hooping, everything's a lot easier. Also, it doesn't really change too much from object to object. It's just kind of making sure that your machine has enough space to embroider, and there's enough space open in the hoop for it to catch it, and it's tight in there. And then that you've got enough stabilizer. Those are kind of the basics to hooping. Okay, so no questions on towels. That's going to be the same process on a towel if you're going to do a repositional hoop, if you're going to use a beach towel, whatever it is. Water soluble on top, cutaway on the back, different layers depending on the fluffiness. There's a great stabilizer chart in the albums of this group for you to walk through and see each of the different fabrics. So anytime people ask me stabilizer questions, I tend to say refer to the chart, check the chart. I'm not an expert on this. I am not perfect. I still check the chart all the time. But again, if you wear it, don't tear it. It's too easy. It's not going to give you enough stabilization.